One time for the one time. It's the family bloodline.
What's good, family?
All right.
Yeah, to the Wednesday night show, man. This week is jacking me up. It is jacking me up. Like, at one point, I'm thinking it's Tuesday, and then I'm like, holy shit, oh no, it's not. It's Wednesday. Let me get up and get some stuff squared away and blah, 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 blah.
Hey, man, they have these things called calendars. I don't know if you ever seen one before, but
I got them everywhere. They suck. They're on my way more than anything.
Rich, what's up with you, bro?
Not much. How about yourself?
Man, chilling, man. Ready for this holiday season to start, man. We're doing holiday schedule, but it's half days, man. So I still got to go in and see folks on a regular.
Well, which one are you doing? Are you doing the evenings or the afternoons or the mornings?
I'm gonna do the afternoon, so I can do some day trading in the morning.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Gotcha.
What are you doing?
We ain't really gonna be able to break out in skeleton crews because we're in session right now. So yeah, it wouldn't really make any sense.
Go home, man. Send the students home, bro. Send the students home.
Like, the class so good to them, they don't want to go nowhere. They want to stay. They want to hang out with us. They learning too much. They don't want to leave yet.
They trying to get up with you, the philosopher, man.
No, that's one of our continuing AARs after action reviews. Is they wish the class was longer because we do have a lot of information broken down into a 2-week course.
Okay,
but yeah, the way we go about it is we of course they're getting the information, but we also insert and push injects of actual mentorship, of soldiering, of upholding standards and making sure that these young NCOs get some type of empowerment and see what right like. Yeah,
you need it, man. You need that reinforcement. I miss doing that in my days at the academy, man. Teaching I always loved. There's all the stuff outside of teaching.
Yeah,
that was the chore. Oh, is that? I mean, let me wipe. I think my screen's dirty. Either that or Richard got some waves, bro.
Oh, you ain't never seen that, huh?
No waves like this.
He said, "You wipe my screen."
I want you to make sure, man.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I don't know how you see my face that close. I'm like, y'all see him like a distance from me, so maybe y'all have a bigger. I don't know.
I'm on the MacBook, bro. I seen you.
Okay.
He got
oh, my boy got waves.
Oh yeah,
happening. So, yeah. Big plans for the holidays, gentlemen?
No.
Debating on heading back to the heart of Dixie, Alabama, the beautiful. I forget the nicknames they had, man, but that's a hike, bro. It's a good 10, 11-hour drive if I made that hike down there.
Yeah. Well, you should have some time to do it. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's the truth.
So, well, let's get into it. Let's start it. I think I'm gonna start the transition of when we're getting into our topic by hitting the cue, queuing it in.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So tonight's topic, as the title has shown, is self-defense or manslaughter. And we are talking specifically about the Daneil Penny case, or another way to Polar. What's going on? Polar's silly. He hitting at y'all. He said, "I love this show. I got so many ideas for how to dress when I need to blend in at Daytona." Hey, good
Hey,
luck,
bro,
brother.
get you. Wait, what's this reverse stuff killing me? Get you with a
Right.
pickleball, man. Get you a little pickleball athletics department, man.
That's funny.
Fit
But
in
Daneil,
anywhere.
Daneil Penny,
Yeah.
self-defense or manslaughter or hero or villain. And it comes down to point of I guess your perspective on the situation, the full situation. And before we begin to give our opinions about it, I'm going to play some of the actual video. I'm going to mute out the sound
Okay.
For the first section just so we can see the video without having that actual the voice from the young lady who's talking mar our opinion. That way we're just seeing the action alone, and we're not hearing the words. Then we can discuss it, and then afterwards I'll come back and I'll play what some of the witnesses, the eyewitnesses, actually had to say, and we can go from that point. So with that being said, I will put out a disclaimer. If you would not like to see, or if you can't handle, or if you know what, better yet, just strong images, disclaimer, strong images coming, that result in death, that result in a loss of human life. So if you are not able to handle that, now is the time for you to go ahead and go grab something to drink, or pop some popcorn, or do whatever you need to do. But we are about to play this video in 5 seconds. So you got 5 seconds to unglue your face to the screen and go grab something real quick. I'll play the full portion, so that should take a few minutes here. So again, disclaimer, I just want to put it out there. So here is the video without the sound. And what you're seeing right here is there were 3 men who subdued Jordan Neely. The person who has him in the rear naked chokehold, and I use that specific phrase on purpose because that's exactly what it is. That's what they learn in the Marine Mac CP hand-to-hand combat. But he's got him in the rear naked choke hold, and he holds the rear naked choke for roughly 6 minutes. 6 minutes. Now, I'll discuss the rear naked choke a little bit more at length, and Deuce, you can hop in on it. And Richard, if you know anything about combatives, hand-to-hand combat, you can touch on it also. But Jordan Neely was subdued by 3 men. And as you can see, it looks as though Daneil Penny, the man who actually has the chokehold on him, is the biggest aggressor in the situation. The other 2 men were assisting in subduing Mr. Neely. And again, it lasted for 6 minutes. And soon you'll be able to see what the end result is. So I don't want to. You can see the struggle. You can see, like, at this point, clearly he's still breathing. He's still alive. And I do want to point out that a rear naked chokehold is not a hold to stop you from breathing. It's not a move that stops a person from breathing. That is not the aim of a rear naked chokehold. At this point, it begins to tighten with the moving, so on and so forth. Now, what we're about to show now, that's his last movement. That's Jordan Neely's last movement. And then you see them moving. Daneil Penny gets off of him, or gets from up under him. But at this point, he has expired. He has expired. So just want to play that part, and I'll pause it there and remove the video, and we'll come back to it later. Thoughts, gentlemen? You put yourself on mute, Deuce.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
All right. Yeah, I came upon this video or the news of it not too long ago because on the back end, I seen that he was invited to the Army Navy game and up there taking pictures with JD Vance and Trump and Elon Musk, right?
Mm-hmm.
They invited him up there because now he's seen as a hero. Looking at, I heard some other details about what was going on. Neely, they said he was verbally saying some threatening things that he didn't mind killing people, making some threats.
I didn't get that.
This, that, the
Could
third.
you try again?
Serious. Stop.
Go ahead.
Stop.
Jesus Christ, she's bold.
All right. That he was making threats, this, that, and the third. However, a lot of eyewitnesses, which I know you said you're gonna get into that. Let me just speak on the video you showed, man. The rear naked hold, very difficult one to get out of once it's in and locked, right? He held the man down for 6 minutes. Most cases, you can render somebody unconscious in way less than 6 minutes using your rear naked hold, right? Once you grip in, get a hold. The other two that were standing there kind of holding his arm or whatever, not sure what they were doing. It reminds me of Trayvon Martin. It reminds me of these other instances where somebody who wasn't black was pretty much hunting or subduing a black person. In this case, I don't want to go too far into the witnesses' details. In this case, the response definitely outweighed the initial action.
How so?
Well, going off of what I've heard, he's making some verbal threats, but a lot of people say that's about it. This was in New York too, right?
Yeah.
You've been on the New York subway?
Unfortunately.
Okay, I've been on it a couple of times myself. Rich, you been on the New York subway?
No, I have not.
Man, it's a scene. It's a scene in the New York subway. So the things that we said that this man was doing are things I've seen people do on the subway, period. Right?
Okay.
Saying crazy stuff out the side of the neck. I didn't hear not one witness say that he made physical contact with anybody. I haven't heard a witness say that he had a weapon of any kind. I haven't heard a witness say that he took up some type of physical posture against anybody that he was going to attack. So that's why I say the response severely outweighs the initial action. And also, just from our witness testimony, the train, once he got him in a chokehold, 30 seconds later, the train pulled up to a stop, right? Where people were getting in and out. If somebody was scared for their life, they could have exited. The guy still held them down.
Okay. All right. Richard, what's your point? What's your purview?
So today is December 18th.
Yes.
7 days before Christmas. If I'm correct, all three of us are African-American men who have served or are still serving the country. So we may have earned an additional freedom of speech regarding our opinions. And it's ironic that all three of us feel the same way about this issue. Deuce said it perfectly. It's hard for me to look at this without seeing race. And so I know a lot of people watch our videos and they may say, well, you know, you guys are so racially conscious. Well, the foundation of this country is how my family, I can't speak for your families, but how my family came over here due to race, called racism, called slavery, the enslaved African. My question is, a Marine is a trained killer, and I respect them for it. Thank God for a Marine. When that Marine entered that subway, if he felt that Mr. Neely was that much of a threat, he could have held his ground and said, sir, you're not going to hurt no one on this subway. And if you make any type of move to put someone's life in danger, I will take action against you. It'd have been just that simple. That didn't happen. Once they put the man in the chokehold, once Mr. Penny put him in the chokehold, and two other men are holding him down, You don't have to keep choking him like that.
Mm.
There's 3 of you and 1 of him.
Mm-hmm.
If you're really a trained Marine, a trained killer, with respect when I say that, you can protect others without having to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if he says, "Well, I did not intentionally put him in a chokehold to kill him," how long does it take for you to hold him until he's no longer a threat when you have 2 other people helping you? And I can't understand in the court situation on the jury how someone didn't see it the same way as us. And then finally, I'll say this, and then I'll let y'all continue.
That's interesting for sure.
I can't understand that if that had been a black man holding a white man down, and that white man had a mental illness, and that white man was to die, that Donald Trump and the rest of these individuals would have been saluting that black man for protecting people on the subway. I just cannot believe that in my heart. But maybe I'm wrong. And I look at every case with the interaction of African Americans and law enforcement or with other people in the public. I look at every case differently, individually, because I'm not going to group them all in the same manner. But something does not seem right. It doesn't feel right. Thank you.
Well, there was a chance for President-elect Trump and J.D. Vance to invite a black person there, another brother there, who had a very similar situation. His name is Jordan Williams, and very similarly so, he was also on a New York subway where there were 2 men who began to make very similar threats about hurting people. One man in particular who was a bit more audacious in his claims, but acted on it also. Um, the assailant in the Jordan Williams case actually he assaulted Jordan Williams's girlfriend, and they began to tussle, and Jordan Williams ended up stabbing him, and the man ended up dying. Now, Jordan Williams did not he didn't go to jail because of it. I thought he had at one point, but I was absolutely wrong. I went back and done some more reading and looking through things a bit more. But he also did not. He was not a former Marine, and he did not get an invite in the same stance as Daneil Penny. And so, as far as the rear naked choke is concerned, we're taught in combatives that a rear naked choke, and all it takes is between 7 to 10 seconds for someone to pass out. And a rear naked choke is actually, it's also called deemed a blood choke, right? And so you're not cutting off the airway whenever you are putting somebody into that specific position. Yeah, it's hard to get out of. I've struggled to get out of one and almost had to tap out my damn self when I was rolling once. And it wasn't by a person that was bigger than me or even my same size. It was just somebody who was faster than me and was able to get my back, right? And once they locked in, they were locked in, and I had to figure out how to roll out of that thing. It's tough. It's tough. But between 7 and 10 seconds, you black out, because a rear naked choke is specifically designed to stop the blood flow. That's what it does. It stops the blood flow. And with it being held for longer than a minute and some change, or however long it takes to cause brain damage, you can do that. So for this type of force to be applied in a street brawl, essentially, or similar, I can't even say essentially because it wasn't even a brawl. It can essentially cause death. That's why in the UFC, when you see somebody getting hit up with a rear naked choke, they'll fight for a little bit and see if they can get out, but they know they don't have long.
Yeah.
And they either tap out or they pass out, and the fight is done. It's over. It's absolutely over. And so for a person who's trained in administering this technique, you know what it can do, you know what it can cause. And to hold another human in that position for 6 minutes is absolutely egregious. And now what I will also say is, to my brothers and sisters of the Marines or in the military in general, I generally side with you. I generally side with you, and it's hard to convince me to side with anybody who hasn't served, because I default to service members damn near immediately. In this situation, however, I cannot. Regardless of the skin tone, it's the simple fact that you held somebody in a rear naked choke for 6 minutes. That's knowingly understanding that you can cause serious brain damage or death. The man didn't have a weapon. The man was a loudmouth. Not only did he have a loudmouth on him, he had a history of being arrested. He was a schizophrenic, so he was in and out of jail, right? Mental disorder is real. And he didn't put hands on anyone. So to take the stance, especially with two other people, and have to subdue this man, it's hard for me. What's going on, Juan? It's hard for me to understand how this isn't manslaughter and how it's defaulted to self-defense.
I want to just jump in right there.
Yeah.
The numbers, man, like you and Rich brought it up. It was 3-on-1.
Yeah.
Dude was in the chokehold. So when you have the numbers, why not let go?
Mm-hmm.
Good question, right? Now the defense for I forgot the dude's name already.
Daneil Penny.
Daneil Penny.
Yeah.
They were saying that he didn't die from that. So their defense, everything you listed, they said that it was a mixture, like we're making a cocktail, right? Like we're making a Long Island. It was a mixture of schizophrenia, the medicine he was on, shock from what? Plus the chokehold, right? So they're saying that you can't pin it on one variable of that concoction of what killed him, right?
Oh.
That was one of the things he used to get off. Two, after he was there, there's videos that they showed people in the courthouse. He was just standing over the man's body, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the prosecution says it shows that he cares nothing about this man's life. Defense says he was waiting for the authorities, right? That he was sitting there, didn't run because he knew he wasn't guilty. He was waiting on the authorities, right? So it's funny how they try to spin that up. But just going back to 6-minute chokehold, you had numbers, and he was barely moving, right? Right before you said when he stopped moving, we could assume that was the moment that life left his body. Before then, it wasn't a struggle, man. He wasn't dragging Tice around. He wasn't banging him around in the subway. He had full control. And like Rich said, if you train, man, you can subdue somebody without killing them.
Yeah.
Here, let me say this. Because Wanda is saying, why am I mean mugging? Normally, listen to this. Normally, when it comes to police interaction with African Americans, no one knows how I'm going to respond. No one knows how I'm going to respond. The reason why I'm serious about this one, because this didn't have to happen. Because I know that Mr. Penny did not have to put his hands on that man. If he was so concerned about the other people on the subway, he could have stood in front of them and told Jordan Neely, if you step this way, if you try to say something, or not say something, but put your hands on one of these people, I am trained to use my hands in a skillful way. And this is not something that you really want to try. He didn't do that. And here's my other thing. If Mr. Neely, Jordan Neely, if he had been in a gang with Tyrone, Little Dre, DeAndre, a gang of them, would he have stepped up then and said something to save the other subway people? He would have kept his mouth shut. He would have kept his mouth shut. And what happens if Tyrone and DeAndre and Little T, they jump on the subway and see you holding this black man down, and they don't like white folks, and then they pull out a gun and blow your brains out? What happens now? So you live to survive this, Mr. Penny. And so when that the Black Lives Matter advocate in New York was going off, I understand his feelings. We don't want vigilante justice. We don't want that. But what that man was saying in New York was that, Mr. Penny, you may have gotten away with this right now, but this is the state of New York. Don't think you can walk around here for free and think there's not somebody else out here that's going to try you, because they will in them 5 boroughs.
Well,
we don't advocate justice. I mean, we don't advocate vigilante justice. We advocate for what is right. What I'm simply saying is, when you put your hands on him, when you didn't have to, and that person died, and they can come up with all the chemical or logical explanations, because you can logically explain anything when you're trying to get away with something. What happens the next time you put your hands on somebody?
So
Exactly.
I'm trying to think of a way to say this.
Wanda. Exactly, Wanda. Exactly. I just, I feel like, I said, maybe I misjudged Mr. Penny. The way his energy, when he was walking up to the court, inside the court building, he had his chest poked out. That's the energy that I felt, that he didn't care.
Well, why would he care? He didn't need to. And I think that was the point that I was about to make. He didn't have to flee, he didn't have to run, he didn't have to do anything. I see your message, Deuce, but if you were saying something, we couldn't hear you. Try it again.
Oh, no. I was trying to reply in the chat, but I was trying to reply saying that what if a black man had been doing to a white guy like that? I said he'd be lit up like the 4th of July, but I don't think the chat liked that one.
Well, can we talk on here and chat at the same time? At the same time?
Yeah, I was trying to. It just for whatever reason, it didn't like that. He'll be lit up like the 4th of July.
Yeah. Well, like you said, we're not advocating violence or vigilante justice or anything like that. But what I am saying is, Mr. Penny, that situation could have turned out really ugly for you. I'm just saying, if that had been a gang of black men, would you have jumped up and put your hands on that person or on that gang of people?
Here's what I got to say about that, man.
Okay.
Like when it's between us and the police officers, what's the key phrase they use to get out of it? I was in danger of my life, right?
Danger of my life.
And then going back to what you're saying, like, oh boy, I can't walk in the boroughs of New York. Rittenhouse out here living his best life, man. Zimmerman.
That's
Zimmerman
where I
doing his damn thing, man. Like, you can get away with murking us and nothing happens. We seen Kumbaya. We wait for the courthouse to handle this thing, and all they do is say, hey, serve up some more of that good vigilante justice on these folks, man. These folks being us. So if Penny sees that history, he's thinking he's good to go, man.
Yeah.
He's walking around like a made man back in the day, and it's a mafia.
Well, I would say with George Zimmerman in Florida, that's one situation. Mr. Rittenhouse up there, when he left Illinois, went up there and was doing that shooting, and he came back, that's another situation. If you think that you can get away with some stuff in them 5 boroughs, regardless of what color you are, and think you can just walk around and parade around like they won't come back for you, no, those 5 boroughs, New York has a reputation that they've earned. It wasn't given to them; they earned it. So
Well,
I don't know. If I'm Mr. Penny, I wouldn't be walking around those 5 boroughs, and I would definitely stay off. I would definitely stay off the subway. I would.
I don't know. I haven't seen anything happen to Zimmerman. You know,
that's Florida.
I got
Florida. That's in the deep south.
Okay. You know what? I'll accept that. I can concede. I'll concede to that.
Listen to this. We lost Puffy. I'm sorry. We lost Biggie. We lost Tupac. Okay? There are certain black folks you can do stuff to. Not a big deal. But there's a few of us walking around here in certain cities. Go ahead and try that and see how it turns out for you. We don't care who you are. We don't care how much money you have. We don't care how much status you may think you have. And again, we're not advocating violence. All I'm simply saying to Mr. Penny is, I think you could have handled that in a different manner. That's the first thing. And then the second thing, that energy that I feel that you were confident that you didn't do anything wrong, where you were almost exemplifying overconfidence when you're going inside the courtroom, be careful of that confidence if you're on that subway again. Just be careful.
Yeah, because
when I heard him talk, he seemed like a nice person. When I heard him talk, I said, "Oh, he seemed like he's a nice person." Maybe I'm judging him wrong.
No, and I also pause to say, like, Mr. Neely was also a Michael Jackson impersonator, and he pulled it off what looked like in the clips I saw fairly well. But I also noticed something about him. He's not an athletic build. He doesn't look like somebody who can defend himself well. He doesn't look like someone. He doesn't look like a guy that would that you would have a hard time hitting, like dropping with one good swing, or even if you accidentally. He was a frail guy. You could see it in the pictures in the clips. You could see he was a small guy. Not saying that small men can't pose a threat, but if you have going back to the statement that there were three people who subdued him, three people who had him under control. They could have held him to the next stop, like Deuce said. He was about 30 seconds away. He could have been held to the next stop, and and law enforcement could have taken over after that. But instead, between that point, from the 6 minutes that it took to get to the next station, unfortunately, there was a loss of life that was unnecessary, in my opinion. In my opinion. So now, what I'd like to do for a second is go back to the video and begin to play what the first eyewitness said. So I'll unmute it and I'll let it play.
He was there, right? I was in before him. Then he came in, like he put like his hand so he could come in, right? Okay. I guess he was pissed or something, but I left at him, right? And then he started taking off his sweater, dummy hard, and then he threw it. And then he told like everyone that he had like a rough day and that he don't care what happens today. He don't care about going to jail, but that someone's dying today. Bro, move. You can come to me.
He had a fight at all? No, he came on the train. I was sitting right there. I was sitting next to her.
I wanted to pause right there. The officer asked, "Was there a fight at all?" And the response was no.
Wait, what did you just say? Was there a what?
Was there a fight at all? What? And I'll rewind it real quick. I'll rewind it. I know I'm deaf, but I'm not that deaf.
You can come to me. He had a fight at all? No, he came on the train. I was sitting right there. I was sitting next to everybody that was moving. That was the last one I was sitting. He came on the train. He was like, "Yo, I'm looking for food. I'm looking for this shit." But like, he was ready to risk it all. Basically, he was like basically, he's gonna try to people out to hurt somebody. He's like, "I'm ready to hurt somebody. I'm ready to do this." And you right here, like I said, I don't think he's nothing wrong. Everybody moved, and he was about to saw him. He came in and he tried to this while the cop was coming. They took that. Everybody, I was falling out home. Yeah. They took mad on the cop. He was trying to resist him about somebody's game. They took mad on. Okay. He got on the train. He was ready to like. I see him take like he got on the train and dropped his phone. He's like, "I'm ready to hurt anybody. I'm hungry. I'm ready to go back to Rikers Island." And dude got up, he saw he was about to hurt somebody, and he got up and he was trained him. And he was trying to play it. I don't know.
So I'll stop it right there. And I'd like to get y'all's thoughts after that, after what you just heard. After those two eyewitnesses spoke on seeing it, what are your thoughts at that point?
Yo, for me, it's disturbing, man. Because all I heard is a man that said some words, right? He came on with the Santa suit. Guess he had a bad day. Who knows? He took it off and he made general threats, not specifically to anybody from what I'm hearing, general threats. And Penny saw the need to play superhero and choke him. Like you said, when the cop asked, "Was there a fight?" There wasn't a fight. There was no physical interaction, man. And then he said that the other gentleman was saying it looked like he was about to do something. I would love to know what this look of about to do something was. I have yet to hear anybody say he raised a hand, that he did anything that would be perceived as a threatening motion, right? And the guy just took him out. I just don't. Yeah. I just don't. I don't understand that, man. And it's extremely frustrating because you see in other cases where people act prematurely and touch somebody based off of words, what happens to them? They get punished.
They get punished.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's good.
So any person who's lived in the inner city across this nation, we've all witnessed people who've had mental illnesses on the bus, on the light rail, on the subway, walking down the street, talking to themselves, screaming and yelling. And we know that person has a mental illness. Oftentimes they're homeless, but we don't put our hands on them.
Yeah.
And I guess, my mother was mentally ill. So I guess this kind of touches a nerve with me. Now, could I have served on that jury and been unbiased? Absolutely. Could I have served on that jury as an African American to judge a situation that involves another African American? Absolutely. But remember when we first started talking months ago or weeks ago, and I came on here and everybody laughed at what I said about certain things. And I said, you don't really find out about African Americans until it's money time. Until it's time to show up in a jury. That's when you find out, when they do their voir dire to select who gets on that jury. That's when you find out about African Americans. And then when it's time to make a decision, and I can reassure you, if I had been on that jury, no, he wouldn't have been convicted, but it would have been a hung jury. Because no, he didn't try to go out and kill Mr. Neely. But that's manslaughter.
Yeah.
That's manslaughter. Now, all the lawyers on TV say that I'm wrong. Okay, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not in the state of New York. I don't know all the laws to the T that they know it. But here's what I do know. Lawyers can take information and really apply logic to it and make you believe in their case to defend someone. But yet, when it comes to African Americans, do we get that same intensity, that same defense? No, we do not. No, we do not. And I'm not, against Mr. Penny because of his race, but I just really feel in my heart, if that had been a white man acting like that, would you have had that same desire to put him in a chokehold and hold him that long like that? I just something tells me no, you would not have done that, because the image of black men across America is we're over-sexualized and we're a threat to society. Whether we're in the streets, whether we're in the military, or whether we're college educated, or if we just have the ability to speak our minds and hold our ground, we're always a threat, because we were a threat when we were brought over here to begin with. Now, I know this is a different side of me tonight than y'all used to seeing from me, but when it's showtime, it's showtime.
Yeah. So I was looking at the body language of the first witness, right? And I was listening to how she was describing the scene. And I was waiting for her to simply say, which is what had been said later on, is that, oh, I was afraid. Everybody ended up being afraid, and everybody began to echo, well, he said he's ready to die and he's going to hurt somebody, yada, yada, yada. But then you hear the second witness describe the scene. And the question that started happening in me automatically is, why was there such a difference in the description of aggression between the two people? There's a huge difference. And unfortunately, and this is pretty much agreeing with what you're saying, Rich. Unfortunately, just for the simple fact that he's alive and he's there, he's automatically seen as aggressive and as dangerous. So it wouldn't take much for him to be seen as the aggressor or thought of as the aggressor, or been found guilty as being the provocateur, as it were. So anything after that can be justified without taking into account what the second witness said. After the police officer asked, because the woman, she ran away, she did not continue talking after the police officer asked the simple question, was there a fight? And the response was no. At that point, there is no self-defense involved. There is no self-defense. It's manslaughter, like you said. He wasn't assaulting anyone physically. No one said that when he was yelling at people, spittle came out of his mouth and touched them. There was no self-defense description anywhere in her narrative, or that's the one thing that they both had in common, is that there was no actual description of a situation where self-defense needed to be invoked. It was not a stand your ground type of moment. It wasn't that somebody was just so out of sorts that 3 people had to apprehend him. But since 3 people did take him down, why did this man lose his life? Why was he that big of a threat after he had been subdued?
And you know what? To me, and I appreciate in the comments what Polar Knight is saying.
Yeah.
To me, this is a response to, quote, the woke movement and the Black Lives Matter movement. That's what this is about. So sometimes when I talk, it seems like I'm a, quote, Black Republican. In some issues, I am. Some issues, I'm a Black Democrat. But most of the time, I'm independent, period. And I look at things for what they are. This is in response to the, quote, woke movement. And so what they were basically trying to say is, we're tired of you Black folks acting wild and doing all this Black Lives Matter movement and all this and that. And we're going to let you know this is still our country. I'm not for Trump. I'm not against Trump. Some things he says, he's right on. Some things he says, I believe he's wrong on. But people, that's how we are. We may not always agree with someone on every point that they say. But what is right is right. What is wrong is wrong. And everybody knows in this country, if that had been a Black man holding a white man down like that, look, hold on, 3 Black men holding a white man down like that. And you think that Black man's going to court and getting off? Okay, keep thinking that. This is where your logic and all your education and military training, no. Throw all that out the window. Go back to common sense. Go back to common sense. If 3 Black men had held down a white man like that, a white man who had a mental illness, listen to how I say this. Because when I'm saying Luigi Mangione,
yeah.
Oh, he was the ideal white man. Young white man, highly intelligent. I think he had an engineering degree. What happened? He had to have a mental illness. We got to have sympathy and empathy for him. If that had been a Black man shooting that white CEO, oh, please. I don't care how many degrees he had. But see, when we say that, they say, well, you know, you guys are angry. You guys are resentful. Because we're pointing out something that you don't want to acknowledge. Here, a quick point, then I'll shut my mouth. They said, we don't want to let race be a factor when it comes to Harvard and Michigan and our colleges across the country. We don't want to let race be a factor and give these admissions to these unqualified Black folks. However, when it comes to dying for the country, oh, you'll let Black folks into the military academies. You allow race to be a factor in that, though. I'm done.
Deuce, what you got? You was about to say something.
It's just I'm thinking about the description, right? And Rich kind of touched on it. Going back to the train, you had a young white Marine. Let's assume he was a vet, right? They're gonna say that young white Marine vet who had to succumb a crazy black homeless person who was threatening people on an enclosed space, right? Just that narrative right there. Open shut case, man. He's clean, good to go. I think my thought now goes to this has happened just far too many times, man. Now, at first, the onset of BLM was to highlight the issues between race relations, specifically us and blue, right? Us and the police, to highlight that exchange. Bro, now we get to the point where anybody's doing this shit. Again, Trayvon, Rittenhouse, and now Penny, all three got off scot-free. So it's not just about the relations between an authority figure such as the police and black folks. Now it's your everyday walking person who's not black in us, right? So my mind's starting to wonder, how do you defeat that, right? What do you do? We still, there's a anti-Asian hate bill.
Yeah.
We still don't have an anti-lynching bill. We don't have an anti-black hate bill. We don't have any of the stuff written down in law to help aid us in combating this, right? We don't. Asians got it, and they did it without violence. So what's the next step? If we want to not go to violence, what is the next step? How do you do that? That's what I keep thinking about, man, because this is not going to be the last. So I think it's going to be a few more, especially with the new administration coming in who's stoking the fires, man. One thing about Trump, he's a pure entertainer, meaning that he knows what gets people lit. He knows that. Is he going to continue to do that? Are people going to misinterpret that for their own begotten gains, man? This is not going to be the end. It's going to be something else going on in this next administration, these next 4 years. How do we combat that? That's what I'm thinking about.
Well, let me back up just a few ticks because I wrote that question down so we could get to it. But I wanted to, I don't know if my favorite lady is here. I haven't seen her pop up just yet, but hopefully Maya hops on. Hopefully she's here. But so we'll take that question into consideration. Also, what's the next step in helping preserve our lives? But also, with that being said, taking consideration the messaging that was pushed forward, and we touched on it at the beginning of the podcast, when you have Mr. Penny, Mr. Zimmerman, and Mr. Rittenhouse all in the same area with the incoming administration's top two people. What is that message? What is that going forward? Is this a victory lap? Is this something that they are indirectly promoting as being, oh, if you do this, you're gonna be all right?
Bro, he was invited to the clubhouse of the Army Navy game. And we all know those tickets are tight. You can't get that. You can't get access. I'm in, I can't get the ticket. Right? He in the clubhouse. He and ha with JD Vance.
Yeah. See, and to me, this is where it gets tricky. This is where it gets tricky. In some cases, there are certain things the Republican Party wants done, I agree with. And in some cases, I don't. But I'm not a Republican, nor am I a Democrat. So when you support one of these two parties, you have to support overall all their stuff on their good days and their bad days. This is not really a great day for the Republican Party over Mr. Penny. But how do we take the next step? From the very beginning, I begged all of you. I said, whether you like voting or not, if you are a registered voter and they send you a jury summons in the mail, you take your black ass down there and you get on that jury. You take your black ass down there, you get your ass on that jury. When they do that voir dire, and they ask you, can you be unbiased? The answer is yes. How do we know you can be unbiased? Because I'm a descendant of the enslaved African. I know how to survive in a strange land without my real name, my real culture, my real religion. I know how to survive. And you get on that jury, and if that person happens to be African American, the plaintiff or the defendant, you make a decision. Let's go to that quick point. The Republicans freed the slaves.
Yeah.
You know, the initial Republican Party, that is correct, sir. That is correct.
Ish.
And I'm not trying to demonize the Republican Party or the Democratic Party.
Highlight ish. Yeah.
You know, yes, Abraham Lincoln, because his hand got forced. He didn't want to initially free the enslaved Africans. And when they had the Civil War and afterwards, when he was assassinated, Andrew Johnson, President Johnson, when they were supposed to keep the South the way, you know, destroy that Southern mentality, he forgave those Confederate generals and allowed them to run for office again. That Republican Party did that as well, sir. Since you want to talk about that, let's talk tonight.
So now here comes a quick history lesson about the time frame between 1860 and 1865, in particular the Emancipation Proclamation, right? And this is a hill that I will die on. This is a hill that I will die on every time. If anybody wants to challenge me on or debate me on this point, I am more than open to it. If anybody would like to debate me on Abraham Lincoln, I am more than open to that as well. But make no mistake about it, Abraham Lincoln did not push the Emancipation Proclamation out of the goodness of his heart. If you go to the National Mall and you begin to walk around and you read the letters that are engraved, you'll stumble upon a letter, and this is what first sparked my interest in it. You'll stumble upon the letter that literally says that if I didn't have to free a single slave to save the Union, I would have. He said that he would have continued slavery, you know, if there was any other way to actually save the Union, right? It became about dollars and cents with them, right? Also, the Emancipation Proclamation in and of itself, if you read the actual document, which I have on multiple different occasions, I've looked at it, I've studied it, I've gone through multiple different historians and experts on this topic. The Emancipation Proclamation was a strategic wartime document to essentially enlist bodies on the northern side. Also, if you read the Emancipation Proclamation, you'll find that the areas where slaves were freed were only areas where the Union armies did not reside as of yet, right? Because there were still other areas where the Union Army was and slavery was still upheld, and they didn't need to change the atmosphere or the environment of that. The actual operational environment was working to their advantage, so they did not need to make any decisive actions in order to change that area of war. It was already won, right? Again, go ahead, Richard. What were you about to say?
No, I love how you said that first part and that second part. I'm looking at the chat here. Tor Jaco, or whatever his full name is, but 90% of the founders of the Klan members were Democrat. You know what? He's probably right. But guess what? I don't care, because I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. See, Tor Jaco, you must have me confused. You must think that I'm one of these Democrats, one of these black people who are on the Democrat plantation. You have me confused, sir.
Polar
so maybe your chat is for an argument for some other black folks who don't know a damn thing.
So
it's going to be that tonight. It's going to be that tonight. Jordan Neely is going to have a voice tonight. Oh, yes.
Yeah, continuing.
And I'm not advocating vigilante justice.
Not at all.
We respect the laws of this nation. We are veterans.
You know what?
I don't know if Torjak or Torjak, is he a veteran? Torjak, is he a U.S. veteran? I need to know this.
He's not.
Okay. So we put our lives on the line, and we're giving out an unbiased opinion about another veteran who we don't want to go against. Because we believe in this country, even though this country initially, and maybe to this day, still does not believe in us. So maybe his family came over here tonight, Oh, I am polar night. Okay. But I'm still keeping the same passion. Okay? I'm still keeping the same passion. Because everyone who came to America are not immigrants to this country. I told y'all on the very beginning, months ago, I am not an immigrant to this country. I'm a descendant of the enslaved African. This idea that America is a country full of immigrants, that's a lie. But I still love her, even though I know sometimes she don't act right.
Oh, yeah.
But we still are going to die for this country. Now that's sacrifice. That's patriotism when you know you're going to die for something that something does not believe in you as being its equal. Now if that ain't righteous, then I don't know what righteous is.
Yeah, it's a daily struggle. Literally. It's a daily struggle. And it puts me in the mind frame of W.B. Du Bois when he's talking about the dual self, essentially, in his writings years ago, and having that conflict, that inner conflict, because we love America. We love her. And we've seen all of her beauties, but we also still have to deal with every single shape of her ugliness as well. And there's no escape. Not only do we have to deal with that, but we also have to deal and look at the fact that there's a portion of assimilation that makes people still feel safe that I'm not willing to do. So I know I was asked not too long ago, what would you rather people think or feel about you? And I said, I'd rather people think I'm a threat. I'd rather you think I'm a threat. Because I can't change for people. I don't want to. Go ahead.
I seen how you get up and out of those chairs, man. When you sitting down, you ain't a threat to me because I know I can move fast. Once you up, another story.
Hold on. Listen to this. Tor Jake walked into a trap. Richard, I like you even if you are a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat. See, people walk into traps all the time when they talk to me because you just don't know how I'm going to get down. But I'm going to call it straight down the line. And what is right is right. What is wrong is wrong. Now, this Penny situation is a response to the woke movement that was piggybacking off the Black Lives Matter movement. Remember, we had a private conversation, Mr. Glass and I said, I don't trust this Black Lives Matter movement. I understand what they're saying, but I don't trust it. And then when some of those leaders misused the money, I said, you've lost all your credibility because we're held to a higher standard. Unfortunately.
The Black Lives Matter movement was a point in time that was missed, like every Marvel movie after End Days, right? It's an opportunity that was missed. I think when they had the nation's attention, it was a beautiful moment. The world stopped. COVID, all eyes on, right? There was not a political arm for BLM. I know the original founders, that wasn't their purpose. That wasn't their foresight. It got too big, it crumbled. We needed to get politicians on the Hill, man. Just like the Tea Party movement, just like the ABC community gets their people on the Hill. We should have did the same damn thing, man. We got nobody. Only one that speaks out is my girl. I want to say her last name is Jackson. Congresswoman. Bad built body.
Yo, to MG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG.
Yeah.
Texas Crockett.
Jasmine Crockett.
Oh, Crockett, if you ever see this thing, Jasmine,
oh my
God. I like you. I'll take you out.
You
I'm
know what?
on that date. I would roll my $50 limit on first date.
I'm a dating site.
You go to the Cheesecake Factory.
You know what?
Come on.
She got baited. She got baited by Marjorie Taylor Greene. But I understood where she was coming from. She got baited and she lit them up. And I didn't like the fact that when those men in Congress tried to tell them to be quiet. No, if them ladies got something to say to each other, get out the way and let them handle their business. Because if a man's arguing with a man, we don't want no woman coming to tell us what to say or how to act. So when women are having a conversation with other women,
there's a place for it.
Hold on, give me a second.
I disagree. Because remember, when those two congressmen got into it, the one from Oklahoma, I think he got into it with the labor union president, and they was getting ready to start fighting on the floor. Nobody said a word to them.
Let me clarify something with this statement from our friend Master of Disaster. Lincoln was known to be personally against slavery is a misnomer. It's a huge misnomer. Lincoln said himself in his last debate that blacks will never be equal to whites. Make no mistake about it. Lincoln did not have a grandiose feeling of equality for the enslaved peoples of the time. He did not. He did not. So I don't want people, and this is something that I do on purpose. I don't campaign against Lincoln, but what I do want people to see and understand is the fictitious narrative that we were sold in grade school about him being this great emancipator. Frederick Douglass had to push him to that. And he still paused before it happened. Emancipation could have happened months prior. He told Frederick Douglass that he was afraid that the people who were going to be out of bondage would take up arms against white people. That's why it tarried even longer. Abraham Lincoln did not consider or think black people at the time to be equal. He thought them to be very inferior. Check out his last debate.
You know what's funny about tonight? Since I've been coming on, I can only go from the time I started coming on a few months ago. The conversations go in all kinds of directions. But we've never had people come on and try to really bring up about President Lincoln and slavery. You never really heard that until tonight, because we're going at Penny and we're going at him. And I think when you know someone's going at you and they're right, it will cause you to go and use the same stuff that's been used in the past to try to win the argument. You're not going to win tonight.
Yeah,
so you may win on TV, you may win in the jury. Because remember, I said from the very beginning months ago, I didn't want slave reparations. So I want everyone on this video tonight to understand this. I'm not asking this country for a damn thing, but respect and equal access. I don't want your slave reparations. Now, if you want to give some reparations, then you fund all the school districts equally, whether they're black boys, black girls, white girls. I don't care what color they are. Fund all the schools equally from kindergarten up to 12th grade. That would be my reparations. That'll be my reparations, because I know that the burden that I carry is greater than those who come from Europe.
That's a new nickname. I can agree with that. Marjorie Trader Group. I can agree with that.
Trader. Listen, I'm not even. Here's the funny thing: when people come on, people say, "Well, do you hate the Republicans?" No. Do you have a bone with the Democrats? Yes, I do. But they're both equal. And I'm not mad at Margie Taylor Greene. She represents her district. Whatever she says, her district backs her up. Period.
You know, that's the sad. Okay, here's my what is it when people say something, the uncomfortable truth? Nah. What's the thing that people say? You're about to say something that is contradictory or maybe shocking. My hot take, man. The average American is either disinterested or stupid. So you go to Marjorie Taylor's district, man. I need to examine her district now. I'm gonna put that on my to-do list. I want to know who lives there, educational level, etc. I'm just curious because Rich, you're right. They keep voting for this woman. Why? Because she's doing exactly what they want her to do.
Yeah.
And this is democracy, right? But point, Rich, that you know what? If you give politicians a choice right now, you put a Nerf gun to their head and you say reparations for black people or fund public education, I bet you we get a check.
Ooh.
Right? The most dangerous thing to wake running this America and this America, you see my public education coming out in this country right now is an educated populace, despite the color. An educated population, man. They don't even understand. I was watching something on CNN the other day, man. They were up. This dude, he gets milk from cows. He sells cow milk, right? So it had to be Wisconsin, because in my mind, that's where all the cow milk comes from.
Write it down.
And they asked him, how many people who are non-American, non-citizen work at your milk farm? He said about 50%. Half my staff, illegal immigrants, right? And he said, well, who did you vote for? He said, Trump. He said, well, if he does a mass deportation, takes all these people, what will happen to your company? Belly up, right? He said tits up. I mean, cows, I get it. Then the guy said, well, are you voting against your interests? This guy said, oh, I think that's his Hollywood talk. I don't think he's really going to do that. What? On the one hand, I can see that possibly happening. I can see it not being as full force as he says. On the other hand, we don't know. You can only go by what a person says. The fact that he actively voted against his best self-interest, asinine.
That's
You know what? If this is what I was telling someone.
cognitive dissonance.
Oh, yes.
Wow. Not just that. The Republican Party has to make some decisions now. Because you do have some Republicans, when they say shut that border down, they mean that. But the ones who have those big farms, I was just telling a friend tonight, the ones who have the big farms, the businesses, they don't want the border shut down. So the Republican Party, President-elect Donald Trump is going to have to make a deal with his own party over what they're going to really do. Because some people are profiting hand over foot over illegal immigration.
Oh, yeah.
But others say we don't want them over here in our country because they may kill Becky or Susie. They would be right, even though they're scapegoating one bad immigrant or illegal immigrant versus 99% of the rest who come over who work, who don't do anything wrong.
Oh, that even that argument in and of itself about the crime rates from migrants is ridiculous to me, right? And the reason why it's ridiculous is because they're making a false comparison. They're making a false comparison. They're saying that these immigrants are coming over and they're raping and they're killing and they're doing that. Well, damn it, that's how y'all got here. If it was good enough for you, like even when it comes down to behavior, and us actually, if we're going to take on the mantle of being violent, who the hell did we learn it from? It didn't just come out of nowhere. It didn't happen in a vacuum. We didn't just overnight say, oh, we're just going to start fighting.
You know what? Here's the bad thing. In order for us to really come together as a nation, there's going to be some more violence. So unfortunately, the movie The Purge, it's fictional, but there's some truth to it.
Is it fictional?
Oh.
Yeah,
True statement. Maybe forecasting. I'll agree to that. Okay.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And yeah. Now, some people think it's going to happen now with Donald Trump back in. People think it's going to happen now with Donald Trump going back to office. I hope not, because I don't want to see no one die. I don't. But, does America really want to acknowledge that the slavery that they used to get its jump start in the world was the most unique type of horrific slavery in the history of the world? They don't want to acknowledge that.
That's not making America great, Rich.
Huh?
That's not making America great, Rich. We don't want to talk about that.
Fair
enough.
Fair
it's
enough.
like an abusive man trying to get back with his girl. You hit me, baby. Don't talk about the past.
Right.
Let's talk about what I'm doing right now. Am I hitting you now? No. Okay, let's move forward. Let's not talk about the past, man.
Right.
America's history is like an abusive ex, Well, you don't want to talk about the past.
But we got to find a happy medium. We can't go too far to the right. We can't go too far to the left.
I agree with that.
Listen, I hate when I have to side with those who I know don't find me as their equal when we say together we don't want transgendered women in women's sports. And I know that when I say that, I'm agreeing with somebody on the far right who does not like me, who does not find me as his or her equal. I acknowledge that. But on that particular point of transgendered women and women's sports, me and that person on the far right, we're on the same page. That's unfortunate, but that's the truth.
I mean, but
I'll say we're on a similar page. We're on a similar page.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
because
I like that. Page.
your reasoning isn't spawned from fear and hate.
Gotcha. Great point. That's a great point.
Yeah, but it takes education, it takes civil discourse to have conversations like we're having now, like every week in, week out. Sometimes we agree, sometimes Rich is way on another side. But we're still able to talk and come back together, man. And that's what America needs. However, all three of us are educated in ways of having civil discourse and be able to articulate our feelings that unfortunately the average American's not. And I hope the purge doesn't happen, but educated Americans, it's not looking likely that I don't think our literacy rate is going to increase under the next administration if his plans go through, right?
Oh my God.
So,
oh my God. I have no comment. I don't know what he's trying to say.
Okay,
I don't know what he's trying to say.
Because I know everybody across all the platforms can't read it, so I'm putting up poll up.
Oh my God. I ain't got nothing to say on that.
oh man.
Because listen. Now listen to this. If I tell Polar, no, I disagree with you. Oh, so you hate transgender people. You hate gay people, huh? But you don't want white people to hate you. See, this is real smooth how you put that in there. But that's fine. That's fine. I don't hate no one. But I do want equality. And as Mr. Glass said, my wanting equality is not from hatred or feeling that I'm better than someone else.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got to get up. My students got testing in the morning. I got to be vigilant. That way I can take care of them.
Did you turn on the lights on us?
I turned on the lights.
I heard the music and then the pictures zoom out. Wow, man.
I turned the lights on a little bit. I had to, man. The truth is I want to keep it going because I love having this discussion. And it's very rare that you'll have all three of us on the exact same page.
Oh, it's so rare.
Mark the calendar.
It's very rare. Yeah. So, and if we have gotten on the same page with an incident, that's because we all see the wrong. It's impossible not to see it. You have to purposely gouge your eyes out in order not to see it. Absolutely hit that cash app. Polar, hit that cash app. We accept foreign monies too. We do. We'll convert it. So with that being said, we heading into final thoughts. Y'all know I go last. So which one of y'all gonna go first?
I'll let Rich go. I've been going first in all the takes.
All right. So December 18th, 2024. I know next week is Christmas, so we probably won't do it on, I guess, Wednesday night because it's Christmas Eve. Mm-hmm. But I feel strongly about Mr. Penny. I respect his military service. You know, we don't want to go against other veterans, but what is right is right. I feel that he could have saved that man's life versus taking that man's life unintentionally is what he did. The lawyer said that I'm wrong. The jury has spoken. I disagree, but I respect the jury. But deep in my heart, I know that had been three brothers holding a white man down. And if that jury had found three black men innocent, there would have been an appeal, there would have been an uproar. We're losing our country. The reaction would have been a lot different. I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Deuce.
Man, Polar Knights. Why is it always blocking? I said it's better than corn hash and it blocked it. See, even the chat's racist, man. Polar Knights gets to say whatever he wants. I can't reply in the chat. It is better than corn hash. Let me think.
Here's
Here's my thing, man. I'm going back to my Asian hate point, okay? They were able to get that bill passed when folks were out here. I think they were slapping and beating up Asian people. I don't recall them actively killing them. Maybe those some instances if there were, please forgive me.
It was there was a man who went into a massage parlor and shot it up.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. That happened. Oh wow, there was a man that went into a black church and shot that up. What I'm saying is, my point is this: I'm gonna take a page from Richard's book. Let's not be violent. This moment in time, let's beat them at their own game, man. Let's get legislation passed for anti-black hate. If that happens, that case in the subway will be looked at it under a different light. At least another variable will be added to that case to hope bring some real justice in future cases, right? That's what we need, man. We gotta get on these politicians' asses, man. The way Polar Knight's on those, I ain't gonna go that far. We gotta get on their asses, man. If they don't budge, then we gotta find our own Marjorie Trader Green, you know? Somebody who's gonna rock for us. There's a lot of math with that. I know they do have the redrawing of the districts, everything else. We gotta get on it, man. Make it happen and start talking about it. That's all.
I agree. I agree, because that was going to actually I was going to go back to your question of what's the next step. And I always say this, and I say it before it happens. Maxine Waters is too old. She can't fight that fight anymore.
I was just it's blocking me again. I just typed that. Need someone younger.
But the first step into getting on their asses, I did a study again, and I still have it on my phone. I said it back in 2022 that the Black community was projected to spend $1.8 trillion in 2024.
1.8 trillion?
1.8 trillion, right? I said this back in 2022. I said it throughout 2023. And this year, we're on track to hit that. In 2025, our culture is on track to spend $1.98 trillion, right? Now, we're spending more, but we're not saving nearly as much. That's the bottom line. Now, if we can stop BSing and stop just simply buying the shiny thing and pull those resources into ourselves, that's how we begin to get on these politicians' asses. $1.98 trillion. Elon Musk has bought a presidency.
Yeah. And a best friend.
And a best friend. To the point to where he has gotten a space created. An apartheid baby, mind you. He's an apartheid baby. But he has a space created named after one of his coins.
You said 1.8 trillion? I'm sorry, go ahead.
In 2024, it was 1.8 trillion. In 2025, it's 1.98 trillion. That's ridiculous.
Japan doesn't spend that much.
As long as you keep voting in Democrats, as long as the Black community keeps voting in Democrats, or even if they try to vote in Republicans, you'll get the same result. You got to vote in people who are not belong to those parties.
We got to get our people. But here's the thing. Let's be real about it. They're going to come up through one of those avenues, whether it's red or blue. They're going to come up through one of those avenues. But either avenue abides by, I don't even have a dollar on me, by the almighty dollar.
Yeah.
And so what Dave said, we got to put dollars with them so they can do our agenda.
Yep.
Whether it's red or blue. They can be purple. I don't give a damn.
Right.
But do what we need.
Listen to this. If you're gonna really flip, if you're gonna flip this country, the U.S. Senate has their election. A third of the Senate gets elected every. Oh gosh, I want to say it's every 2 years or every 4 years. Every 2 years. Okay, a third of the Senate. Now, the U.S. House they flip every 2 years. So you could flip the House. It would take you about 4 years to flip the Senate. Now you can enact legislation and take the power away from the Federal Reserve System. But no one ever talks like that on TV because you'll get removed if you talk like that.
All right, so here you're right, Wanda. Let me finish. Let me finish my final thought. So $1.98 trillion puts us in the door, but that's just the beginning, because what we actually have to do is we have to get judges appointed. That's what changes the game for the next 100 years. Y'all was talking. I was in my final thoughts.
What's going on right now? My perception is what's going on right now. You're talking.
But $1.98 trillion in 2025, we can take a third of that. We can take a third of that, get the people we need and want appointed in the places we want them, and then we begin to get judges put in position for life. These are lifetime appointments. These are lifetime appointments. That's how we move the legislation. That's how we get things set up for us like everybody else has gotten things set up for them. Those are the next steps. And with that, those are also my final thoughts.
One quick thing. So tomorrow night, it starts an hour earlier, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Tomorrow night it's an hour earlier.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that. So as a quick reminder, tomorrow night we're talking about Jay-Z. We're gonna be talking about
can't wait.
Yeah.
Oh,
I might, hey man, I might make
I can't wait.
Yeah, well, I'll see what I can do.
All right.
I can't wait.
Yeah, we talking
can't
about
wait.
Jay-Z and the allegations that were pushed out against him, and then the admittance. Come here and check it out.
All right.
Let's do it. I can't wait.
That's what it's gonna be.
All right, sounds good.
Present invited. Yes. As always, y'all could have been anywhere else in the world, but you decided to hang out with us and be with us.
Polar night.
We absolutely appreciate y'all. Make sure you reach out to your family, friends, and loved ones. The suicide hotline number is 988. If you think somebody is in distress or in peril, just give them an ear. If somebody, whoever hears this under my voice, if you are in peril and you need an ear, by all means, just send us an email. I will send you my personal number direct and be that ear. I have no problem with it. Your life is more valuable to us with you here than without you here. So please don't go to those means. Go ahead, Rich.
One last thing. Since we're talking about making America great again, I want to know how much money did they pay that black woman from down in North Carolina when she admitted that she lied on those 3 white men years ago? How much money did they pay her to admit that she had lied? Because it came out recently. I want to know how much.
You think she was paid?
Huh?
You think she was paid?
Well, we got time to look into it.
I wonder what her motive was.
We got to look into it, family. But as always, it's always a pleasure hanging out with y'all and learning from you. And with that being said, thank y'all for coming out. God bless and good night.